Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting close to getting started. If you'd look around a little bit, if you've got an empty seat somewhere around you, could you guys slide in so that our empty seats are on the outside so we can get as many people in here as we can? So we still have people with tickets coming in that need to find seats. So if you're sitting anywhere in the middle and there's empty seats, if you guys will squeeze in, please. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of housekeeping items, and then we'll get started. Because we're live streaming and some of the acoustics and the brickwork in here, if you can please turn your phones to airplane mode. We're all going to fly away in here. So if you'll all put your phones on airplane mode, it will assist the bandwidth for what we're trying to do for the live stream. So if you guys can do that, I would appreciate it. And I think we're about ready to get started. If everybody would please rise, we will bring in our graduates. Thank you. You may be seated.
Welcome, everybody. To begin the ceremony tonight, we will start by listening to the national anthem performed by Merit Academy's own concert choir. Please stand for the national anthem. Thank you to the concert choir. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the Class of 2026 at Merit Academy graduation ceremony. To begin tonight, we will hear from Miss Rachel Barlow, who will introduce our salutatorian, after which we will hear from Mr. David Buckley, who will introduce our valedictorian, and we will then have a musical number. We'll go to that point.
Good afternoon, graduates. It is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you this year's salutatorian. You know him from his goofy "Good morning, everyone," or seen him flying down the hall with his 100-year-old briefcase. Maybe you know him from class or the lunchroom when he sat next to you and asked you questions about your day, or maybe you know him as the Red Queen who picked a fight with Alice in Wonderland. No matter who he is to you, he is someone who holds a place in all of our hearts because he is the embodiment of lead, learn, and serve. Jackson Harper is our Merit Knight and this year's salutatorian. A salutatorian is often only understood as defining the person who comes in second, but Jackson is nobody's second. Actually, salutatorian means something different. Let me give you a short history lesson on that. I'm just kidding. Salutatorian is a greeting, a gentle way of welcoming others and wishing them well on their way. This is how I know Jackson. He always welcomes me with a good morning and says, "Have a good day," when he leaves. But Jackson has been much more than a salutatorian or a salutation. He is a friend, a brother, a son, a student, a leader, and a light for all of us to follow. I know that my life is better because I have known him. I suspect many of you feel the same way. He gives me hope for the future, a future that is full of possibility and compassion, a hope that we treat others better than we've been treated because he is that change. And with his ability to lead, learn, and serve, Jackson is the hope we can all look forward to. Please welcome Jackson Harper, your salutatorian for 2026.
Thank you, Ms. Barlow. All right, before I begin, I would like to recognize and thank all of the parents, teachers, grandparents, friends, family, let's see who else is on this list, caregivers, mentors, all of the people that helped us along this path, that helped us finally achieve this, what feels like the end goal of high school. I think they deserve a round of applause, so thank you to them. Alrighty. Good evening, my friends. I am honored to be giving this speech as this year's salutatorian. And it is appropriate, first of all, to thank all of my wonderful teachers that helped me get to this point. So thank you all so, so much. It is unbelievable that 4 years of hard work has led up to this point. Well, some of us have been at Merit for 6 years, and others just 1, but it does not matter. We worked together side by side, and we've all made it to what feels like the end of the 4 best years of our life. I came to Merit in 2022 after being homeschooled my entire life. Originally, coming to public school was devastating to me. Yeah. To me, spending 8 hours at school every day meant being torn away from my family, my friends, and the homeschool life that I loved. I remember the very first time I set foot in Merit on a tour during the back-to-school night. Katie Grimes did her best to make the school seem appealing and like a good alternative to homeschooling, but I absolutely despised it. I remember bursting into tears when I left the school for the first time that day. Ironically, I burst into tears just a few hours ago when I left my Merit home for the last time. I love Merit now. I love what it stands for and what I stand for because of it. Maybe you feel the way I do, like we're leaving behind a family that we've built for so long. And perhaps some of us do not feel the same. But I believe that we all share common ground to reflect on the past and look forward to what comes next. So first, now that we've reached the final destination of our high school journey, it is time to reflect. I was hanging out with Will recently, and he told me to think of all of the what-ifs of the last 4 years. What if you'd taken another college class, tried another sport, not procrastinated? What if you'd auditioned for that show, or served at an event, or joined another club? All of us can look back and wish that we'd made different choices, but be sure when you're reflecting that you thanked yourself and are proud of the multitude of choices that you did make. Thank yourself for taking a class a certain period, for saying hello to someone you've never seen, for sitting at a new lunch table or trying something new, for developing a new skill or breaking an old habit. I am so thankful that I took seminary during third period, my 9th grade year. Because of that, I met Samuel, one of my best friends. Is he here? Samuel? That's very sad. We're off to a great start. I'm so proud of myself for running for student council and consequently being able to spend 3 years being taught by one of the greatest teachers at Merritt, Miss Barlow. Yeah. And I'm so thankful to all of you for making Merritt worth it to me. It is lovely to remember the best times of high school. However, it is important that we recognize that there were hard times as well. Thank and be proud of yourself for those too. Be proud of yourself for pushing forward through the hardest days and subsequently gaining more than you ever lost. After reflecting with Will, I realized that high school transcends the binomial theorem or rhetoric or even the powerhouse of the cell, which is the chloroplast. I think that high school is life in miniature. It's about success, and it's also about practicing failure. It's about mistakes. No teacher teaches it, yet we all experience it and have the opportunity to learn how to heal, bounce back, and continue wiser than we were before. Imagine being thrown into life where failure, mistakes, and trials abound without the experience of high school, not knowing that mistakes don't define you, not having learned that success after failure is an option, not knowing that bitter things and bitterness make sweet things all the sweeter. It would be impossible for me. So what if we thank ourselves for the hardest parts of the last 4 years, through which we gained the most valuable lessons? Thank yourself for crying. Accept your failures and be grateful for what you learned from them. Be proud of not giving up when it felt like the only option, and all the beauties of life that seemed beyond your reach. You are sitting here. You didn't give up, and you deserve to be proud of yourself for that. And if there are parts you have no gratitude for, that's okay too. There are parts of high school that you are under no obligation to be grateful for. But I hope that you have taken wisdom from this journey. High school has been a journey of successes, failures, and most importantly, growth. And now, here we are at the end. Laura Ingalls Wilder observed, "The last time always seems sad." But it isn't really. The end of one thing is only the beginning of another. It is, in fact, sad that our high school experience has come to a close. But don't let it distract you from the beautiful beginning that is opened for us. For the next chapter, I have no idea what's ahead. I am just as cooked as you are. And I really don't have any advice. Ronan, though, he has some wise words to offer. Quoth Ronan, "Frick it, we ball." which for the unks in the audience means even when things are falling apart, plans fail, or the odds are against us, we will choose to keep going and make the best of it. Perhaps making the best of it means to continue being loyal to the principles we have learned here at Merit. I wish to tell the future students of Merit Academy that putting in effort to lead, learn, and serve will grow them in ways they cannot imagine, and that it's absolutely worth it. Additionally, to the class of 2026 and the future students, it is essential to know that you are worth more than you can ever fathom. You are loved, you are valued, and you are needed in this world. Strive to be the person that makes others feel that way, and you will achieve your fullest potential as a lifelong leader, learner, and server. Now, graduates, if you don't feel like you can measure up to this ambition, remember that by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. Becoming the type of person that embodies the Merit values isn't a one-time choice that happens overnight. Every day, you get to choose to lead. You get to choose to learn. And you get to choose to serve. I know this is true because I've seen it. Line upon line, precept upon precept, I've watched you, my best friends, the class of 2026, become the people they are today, and the stars in my personal story. I wish the younglings could see us now as I saw those graduates over the years and realize that they too can become stars in their own stories. In sum, life goes on, and we're moving on. It is universal that life will hit us pretty hard at some point, and we might think that we've failed. But my hope is that we continue to ball. I hope that if we've learned nothing else in high school, we've at least learned that failure isn't the end. It is a stepping stone to success. So look forward to seeing the sun as it says hello every day. And on the cloudy days, senior sunrise. I hope we still possess the frail yet resolute hope that behind the clouds, the sun still smiles on us. Can't wait to see us again. We've begun the process of entering the real world. So let's be proud of ourselves and thankful for who we've become because of high school. I love you all so much. Thank you. I also want to thank ChatGPT for writing this entire speech. I'm just joking. This is probably the only assignment this whole year that I haven't used ChatGPT on, so.
5 years ago, I met a scrawny 8th grader sitting next to a similarly scrawny Lucas Cornaby in game development, where there were 25 students and 26 computers. It was a 7th through 12th grade class, and it was a bit of a sink or swim environment. I told the students up front that this class was for learning the real stuff, Unity and C#, and if they wanted to test the waters a little more, they could go to exploring computer science first and then jump into the big leagues. But one Grant Cornaby stuck around. Not only did this 8th grader Grant swim, but he was keeping up with the field. His magnum opus was a game called Asteroids, like the classic Asteroids, but spelled differently. That was a game that students would gather around to play and replay. I knew that the kid sitting in the second row from the right, second seat from the back, had a lot of potential to learn, create, and do amazing things. Since then, I bamboozled him into taking at least 6 or 7 of my other classes in my computer room and science room. I also tricked him into touching grass through cross-country and ultimate frisbee. Needless to say, we've spent a lot of time together. In each circumstance, Grant brought his goofy smile, positive attitude, brilliant mind, and mature work ethic. He rose to the highest levels of achievement in every field. He performed exceptionally well in AP Computer Science, AP Physics, and next door in AP Calculus. He was vice president of our chapter of Technology Student Association when he and Hudson Condi represented Merit at the national level in Tennessee last year, and they even let me tag along. He was co-captain of the Ultimate Frisbee team that won a Division II tournament in April, where he made a key block on the final possession that set up Caleb Malore and Owen Kavaka for a 50-yard connection to beat the best team from Idaho in the semifinals and win 13-12. Grant is soon moving on to bigger and better things, and he will leave a Grant-sized hole in his wake. Wherever he goes, he will continue to be an example and lift those around him. Achieving the status of valedictorian is just a small representation of his achievements, his potential, and his character. I want to thank Grant for bringing a smile to my face every day and for lifting me up and lifting up those around him. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2026 Merit Preparatory Academy valedictorian, Grant Cornaby.
Wiggity, wiggity, what's up, dude, bros and girly gals? It's your boy, Grant, the Corn Baby, coming at you with the valedictorian speech for the class of 2026. I'm so sorry. So let me quickly thank the administration for putting this whole event together and making this such a great landmark in our lives. And thank you, teachers, for teaching us and doing your job, not only in necessity, but with the goal of actually helping us learn. Thank you. So I think I've changed a lot since the first time I was here. I mean, we all have. I didn't commit any alcohol-based crimes this year like I did in 7th grade. This leads me to Doman's class, where we were given the tools to make lemonade and sell it. What a wholesome activity. So me and my friends Ian and Bradley teamed up to make the best lemonade company ever. Generic lemonade company. You can taste the yellow. Which is a bit ironic because most of our lemonade just wasn't yellow. Doman gave us a bunch of different flavors and we used all of them because the more is better. So me and Ian were in Utah history a few weeks after making the lemonade. And sales weren't booming because, you know, literally everyone else was selling lemonade. So we had to get a sale wherever we could. So Ian went up to Mr. Wright and said, "Hi, can me and Grant are selling lemonade for only $1. Do you want some?" Mr. Wright thought for a moment and was like, "Yeah, sure." And Ian reaches in his backpack and pulls out our concoctions and places 3 on the table. A yellow one, a blue one, and a green one. Mr. Wright obviously picks the yellow one, and then he gives me $1 and he takes a sip. "How'd you get the carbonation?" Carbonation? I think we fermented it. Oops. So apparently, leaving our lemonade in Ian's hot backpack for weeks was a bad idea. The more you know. On a more serious note, it's time for the reason for why I'm actually speaking today. I think the greatest quality we have as people is our creativity, and encapsulates so much of our journey through life and is so important to our unique personalities. We can take time out of our lives just to create for the joy of creation. The best part is it could literally be anything, from a children's book to a prom dress, a piece of modern art to a video game, a piece of music to a video advertising fake cross-country drugs, an animation to an essay on why the ham sandwich is by far the worst sandwich. The possibilities are only limited by your imagination. However, I do see that some people have a poor mindset when it comes to creation. Sometimes you only see the final product that others have created, and we wish we could do better, but it's not just about the end result. Just like life, it's how you made it to the end and the struggles, solutions, and happy accidents that came with the journey. We end up learning and growing so much more when we don't just use the easy way out. If I didn't experiment with different lemonade instead of using a recipe, I would have never had the experience or learned any lessons, and me and Ian wouldn't have grown closer as friends. If you know me, I'm not fond of artificial intelligence, and for good reason. Using it is the easy way out of almost any situation. Why don't I just skip the thinking process and type it in the chatbot? It's all destination and no journey. From an expert's perspective, what AI can make is absolutely terrible. But from an amateur's perspective, it can be seen as beauty. It can certainly make well-structured sentences and logical-sounding arguments, and it can make art from any style. But once you put your idea into the machine, your personality is grinded out, leaving nothing left but substanceless slop. The very point of creation isn't to make something that looks nice. It's a way to paint your unique personality onto the canvas of reality, and that's lost in the machine. To conclude, you guys are some of the most creative people I know. I love seeing the performances and shows and the way you express yourself in each of your characters. Every time I walk past the art room, I'm in awe of how unique each piece of art is and what it tells me about the artist. So go out there and create something. Maybe make a crappy song on a random website, or draw Curious George in a lightsaber duel with Tad Strange from Gravity Falls. The possibilities are quite literally endless. I love you guys. Congratulations on graduating. Peace out.
Ready?
The clothesline's empty as I leave for one last time. I run my hand down the oak banister and whisper she's looking fine. I close the door and say the pleasure was all mine and turn away.
For all the memories we carry down these stairs, you could offer me a world of riches, and I promise you I wouldn't care. We tramped these streets like they were ours, and we were theirs until today. And we hardly felt the rain as we walked down Ashton Lane. I told you this would never last, 'cause good times come and go so fast, and I can't say for sure they'll come again.
'Cause we were younger when we walked down Ashton Lane. In all the stories that we wrote within these walls, played a token part, but the end was never ours to call. Now the time has come when the credits roll and the curtain falls. We say goodbye.
And we hardly felt the rain as we walked down Ashton Lane. I told you this would never last, 'cause good times come and go so fast, and I can't say for sure they'll come again. 'Cause we were younger when we walked, and we hardly felt the rain as we walked down Ashton Lane. We left those glories in the past, 'cause our time came and went so fast, and no one knows if it will come again. 'Cause we were younger when we walked down Ashton Lane.
Yeah, so we're still doing things. Now, our keynote speaker tonight will be Andrew Gentry, after which we will have director remarks from Mike Condi, and then we will then do the presentation of the diplomas.
Well, this has been a great ceremony so far. Thank you to everybody that's spoken, for the musical numbers that have been given as well. It's been awesome to see and hear about your talents, and congratulations to you all as well. I think we've all learned some great words of wisdom as well, particularly frick it, we ball, right? Love that. It was great. But congratulations again to the class of 2026. A little bit about myself, but before I get into my speech, my name is Andrew Gentry. I'm originally from Littleton, Colorado. I went to the University of Michigan for 3 years, played football at the University of Michigan for 3 years, was on the 2023 national championship team. The 2024 season, suffered a season-ending injury, and following the season, decided to transfer to BYU, where I've been for the past couple years, and I'm so excited to be able to speak to you guys. As I reflected on what I would say at this graduation, I started thinking back to when I was sitting in your guys' seats. Although I actually never got to experience my high school graduation due to the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020. So I'm going to consider today as my honorary graduation, and I'm excited that I can consider myself a Merit Academy Knight. So I'm one of you guys now. Even though I didn't participate in my own graduation ceremony, I still remember the emotions that came with stepping into the next phase of life. I remember the excitement, I remember the uncertainty, and honestly, I remember a little bit of fear too. Because the reality is that there are so many different directions that each of you can go in the next phase of life. Some of you are going to go to college and think that you might have your life figured out for the next little bit. Some of you guys are going to go on religious missions for 18 or 24 months. Some of you might be going to trades. Some of you are going to take gap years. And some of you may have absolutely no idea what comes next. And that's okay. Because while all of your paths will look very different, there's one thing every single one of you has in common. You are stepping into something new and different. And for one of the first times in your life, there isn't a structured roadmap telling you what to do or where to go. A lot of what happens from here on out will depend on the decisions you make, the habits you build, and the direction you choose to move when you don't have a structured routine similar to the one you've had up to this point in your lives. I remember when I was your guys' age thinking that life would become easier as I was now free to make my own decisions and decide the path that I wanted to go. And then all of a sudden, I was tasked with what came next. I had to cook my own meals. I had to structure my own schedule and decide how I lived my life. I even had to go grocery shopping by myself. In fact, I remember the first week on my mission that the reality that I was fully on my own really hit me as I stepped into the store and bought my own laundry detergent. I had gone shopping before, so I don't want you to think I didn't know how to grocery shop, and I knew how to do my own laundry, but I had never bought my own laundry detergent before. And I remember I was like, this is terrifying. I'm buying my own laundry detergent. I'm really on my own. Now, as scary as laundry might seem, there was even more to life than just laundry detergent. There's more responsibility, more pressure, and more uncertainty. And I don't say any of this to worry you all, because at the same time, life becomes far more meaningful and far more rewarding as you begin to do things truly on your own. Now, why do I talk about the responsibilities of what comes next in your lives? Well, today I was tasked with the opportunity to speak about motivation. Motivation and a desire to reach your goals will be critical for each of you as you move forward throughout life. As I was thinking about what story I would share or what I could say to help motivate you as you take the next steps, I came across the story of a young man named Elijah Carter, and I want to share that story with you all tonight. Because this story genuinely inspired me, and I hope that it can inspire you as well. It goes like this. The alarm went off at 4:12 a.m. Not 4:30, not 5 a.m., but 4:12. Because when you are barely holding your life together, every minute matters. The room was dark except for the blinking green light of a microwave clock across the apartment. Rain tapped against the window. On the floor beside an old mattress sat a pair of worn-out work boots covered in drywall dust. 23-year-old Elijah Carter stared at the ceiling. For a moment, he thought about staying there. One more day, one more excuse, or one more, I'll just start tomorrow. But then he heard it. There was a cough from the room next to him. His little sister Ava was asleep on the couch because the bedroom was simply too cold. Their mother had passed away the year before, and their father had disappeared long before that. It was just the two of them now. As Elijah pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders, he noticed a school paper sitting on the table beside her. It said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" In crooked pencil handwriting, she had written, "I want to be a doctor so I can help my brother because he helps everybody." Elijah stared at the paper for a long time and then looked down at his hands. He had cracked knuckles, exhausted hands, the hands of a man who was working 2 jobs and still barely surviving. Construction worker by day, warehouse worker by night. And for the first time in months, he cried because deep down, Elijah was terrified. Terrified he wasn't enough. Terrified hard work wouldn't matter. Terrified he would get everything he had and still fail the people he loved. 3 hours later, Elijah was at the construction site. Rain hammered the steel beams as workers moved through the cold. Around noon, he noticed an older man sitting alone near the unfinished edge of a building. The man looked at Elijah and asked, "Do you ever wonder if it's worth it?" Elijah laughed quietly. "Every day." The old man nodded and then asked him a strange question. "What do you think the strongest trees have in common?" Elijah shrugged. "Big roots?" The old man smiled. "No, storms." He pointed toward the skyline. The strongest trees aren't protected from storms. Every storm forces the roots deeper. Then he looked back at Elijah. People think greatness comes from talent. It doesn't. Greatness comes from endurance. The old man stood up. "You think this pain is burying you?" He shook his head. "But maybe," and he pointed towards Elijah's chest, "it's planting you." That sentence stayed with Elijah for years. Maybe this pain wasn't just burying him. Maybe it was planting him. So slowly he started changing. Not overnight, just little things. Stopped hitting the snooze button, started reading during lunch breaks, and started taking online classes after work, even though he was exhausted and half asleep. Every day he wanted to quit, but every morning he got up anyway. And life didn't just suddenly become easier. Hospital bills piled up. Exhaustion set in. Doubt followed him everywhere he went. One night when he was driving home, he pulled over to the side of the road and in agony just said, "I can't do this anymore." And maybe some of you know what that feels like. Maybe you know what it feels like to carry pressure nobody else sees, to wonder if all your effort is actually worth it. But sitting there in that truck, Elijah remembered Ava's paper. "I want to help my brother because he helps everybody." And suddenly he realized something. His life was no longer just about him, but people were depending on him. So he got back to work and kept driving. 5 years later, Elijah stood backstage in a packed auditorium. Bright lights shined against the curtains, and sitting in the front row was Ava, Dr. Ava Carter. Before Elijah walked on stage, she hugged him and tightly whispered, "You saved my life." Not because he was perfect, not because he never struggled, but because he refused to give up on his own life first. And when Elijah stepped onto that stage, the first thing he said silenced the room. I used to pray for an easier life, he said. Now I pray for the strength to endure a hard one. Because the strongest trees do not grow in perfect conditions. They grow in storms. And maybe, just maybe, you are not being buried, but you are being planted. Now, as each of us listen to that story, I want you to think about something. For at least a few moments, many of you probably felt something emotionally. Maybe you felt inspired, maybe you felt motivated, or maybe you even pictured yourself as Elijah. Maybe you connected with the struggle, the pressure, the hard work, or the perseverance. Some of you may even feel like right now you want to go accomplish something great and work a little bit harder. But now I'm going to take a turn that you probably weren't expecting. That entire story was completely made up by ChatGPT about a week ago. And when I asked ChatGPT, I said, just create an emotional, motivational story. Now, where am I heading with this? Well, some of you probably think back now to the story I shared and notice some parts. It might have felt a little dramatic or a little cliche at times. But there's a reason I shared it anyway, because I wanted to prove a point. Every single one of us has heard a motivational story before. Stories about athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, people overcoming impossible odds. And now, you've heard one created by AI. And almost every time we hear these stories, we feel something emotionally. But what's interesting is that there's actually science behind why that happens. When we hear emotional stories, our brains release chemicals such as dopamine and adrenaline. Dopamine is often called the motivational chemical, but it's really more connected to anticipation, drive, and possibility. In simple terms, when you hear these stories, your brain temporarily starts to believe, maybe I can become more. Maybe my struggles have meaning, or maybe I should go start and take action. Our brains are actually wired to connect deeply with stories. Psychologists call it the narrative transportation, which basically means that emotionally, we step into the story ourselves. For a few moments, Elijah's struggles became your struggles. His perseverance became something you emotionally experienced yourself. And that feeling is real. But here's the problem. Those emotional highs fade. After tonight, most of you will go celebrate with friends and family. You'll go to dinners, you'll take pictures, and hang out with people you care about. And 95% of you will completely forget Elijah Carter by tomorrow morning and never think of him again. And it wouldn't matter if it was Elijah Carter or Michael Phelps. So what point am I trying to make by all this? Well, the point is that while motivational stories about others can inspire us temporarily, these stories and dopamine hits alone are not enough to sustain us long term. Because true motivation does not come from emotion alone. True motivation comes from purpose. That's what actually sustains people when life gets difficult. At first, when I was preparing this speech, I thought I needed to come up with the most amazing and inspiring story possible. Something that would motivate you guys to go out and conquer the world. I thought I needed some crazy example of somebody overcoming impossible odds. And I thought I was going to give a motivational speech. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the people who truly accomplish meaningful things in life are not usually the people who stay emotionally motivated through stories all the time. They are the people who have purpose, because purpose keeps you moving long after emotion fades. For me, personally, football is a huge part of my life. I'm a football player in college, and one of my dreams is to play in the NFL someday. But football alone cannot be my entire purpose. Because if my only motivation was football, eventually the 38 to 40-hour work weeks, the exhaustion, the pressure, and the grind would burn me out. My sports psychologist, Dr. Craig Manning, explained something to me that really stuck with me. He said that burnout happens when we continue doing the same things that are difficult over and over again without connecting them to a deeper purpose. This isn't just about football, this is about life. If you want to avoid burnout, you have to find purpose in what you're doing. For me, one of those purposes is my faith in God. I want to glorify God in the way I live and the way that I compete in football and treat people. I believe football gives me that platform to influence people and help them in positive ways. Another purpose for me is my family. I want to be able to provide for the people I love. I want to create opportunities for them and help build a better future for my family someday. And yes, another purpose is that I genuinely love the game of football. Each of you will have your own purpose. For some of you, it may be your family. For some of you, it may be your faith. Others, it may be serving other people, building something meaningful, helping others, creating opportunities, or becoming somebody future generations can look up to. But if your only goal is money, status, or temporary success, eventually that will fade and it won't be enough. Because external rewards can motivate you temporarily, but purpose is what sustains you through hardship. So the question becomes, how do we actually discover our purpose? The first step is figuring out what truly matters to you. What are you most grateful for? What do you genuinely care about? What kind of person do you want to become? Tonight, when you go home, I would invite each of you to actually write those things down. Write down what matters most to you. Write down what you love, what you value, who you want to help. Write down the kind of life that you want to build from this moment forward. And then once you know that purpose and you find that purpose, go take action and do what you want to do. Half of the battle is beginning, but as you embark on your purposeful path to greatness, you will find the journey far better than you could ever possibly imagine. Life is going to challenge every single one of us. There will be moments where you feel behind, moments where you're going to doubt yourself, and moments where life feels overwhelming. But if you can connect what you're doing to a deeper purpose, you'll be amazed at how much stronger, more resilient, and more motivated you become. So as you leave tonight and begin this next chapter of your lives, don't just chase temporary motivation, chase purpose, because purpose is what gives suffering meaning. Purpose is what turns discipline into fulfillment. Purpose is what allows ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. So to the class of 2026 at Merit Academy, congratulations. As you go out into the world, remember, you always have a higher purpose. So go be purposefully great. Thank you all, and go Knights.
Before I get started with the notes that I've prepared, I want to give some recognition and some thanks. First of all, I want to draw some attention to some of our folks that are hiding in the back up here, the incredible staff and faculty from Merit Academy, and for the journey that they've been on with these guys, some for 6 years, some for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, right? So thank you very much. I want to thank Miss Amy Pace for being here tonight representing the Utah Charter School Board, and she's here representing with us tonight. I appreciate you being here. And then for an amazing team that helps out and works and makes decisions in the office and keeps me in line right here on the front row, David Wiseman, Whitney Clegg, and Jessica Sitton, thank you very much. And now, I don't want any of them to feel bad, but on to the most important people that are here tonight. And first of all, I would like our graduates to look around at one another. Yep, look around at one another. Only you guys know all the hills and valleys and cliffs and climbs and everything that you've gone through at Merit Academy. And you made it. And it's not just Merit Academy. So for some of you, that's 6 years. Some of you, 4 years. Again, some of you, it varies. But almost all of you have been through a journey of 13 years in education. Whether that's in the walls of a school, the walls of your home. Some of you are extremely lucky and go camping and everything. Maybe it's tents and maybe it's nature, okay? But you've gone through an incredible journey to get to this point. And at this point, sometimes it's like, what's next? And holy cow, this was my main goal. This is just the beginning. Now, I want you graduates, if you can kind of turn around and peek around and look around you in this room. And just as important a part of the journey that you've gone through are these people that are here supporting you. And each of these people that are here know bits and pieces of the character that is sitting up here right now in the front 4 and 5 rows. All of you know bits and pieces because you've been a part of this journey. For the billions of people watching on live stream right now, and the almost 100 people that are in a room just right over here, the overflow, just as important a part of the journey. Those are your friends and your peers and some family as well. And I want you to recognize that. One of the most awesome things for me is that all of these bits and pieces of character that you see I got to put them all together. And for the last 3 years, have been able to spend that time with these guys. And when you put all of that character and lump it together, oh, there's some character. There's a lot of character there. And I know some of your journeys, it came down to maybe even yesterday to get here, to where you're walking and you're getting your diploma. Some of you are going to put a little bit of work in this summer to finish it up and get it done. And some of you came into practice yesterday thinking, I'm done. This is it. And then when Mr. Condi said, guys, I have an assignment for you. You should have seen the eye rolls and the, oh my gosh, here we go. And then I said, just line up in alphabetical order. And they did it. So they accomplished it. It was awesome. So I want you guys just to recognize everyone that's been on your journey with you and had a part of that. And like the future NFL Hall of Fame, I might be partial tackle for BYU, talk to you guys about, take some notes and think about the goals moving forward and remember those things. Never forget it, and never forget who helped you get there. Graduates, families, faculty, and friends. Today is a celebration of achievement, perseverance, and possibly tonight, you close one chapter and step into another. And while there are many things I could say to you about success, careers, money, or ambition, I want to center my thoughts around a poem that has inspired generations. And I learned about this poem at another school about a month ago from a 4th grader who memorized this and just blew me out of the water. And I knew I had to use it. The poem is called If by Rudyard Kipling. There is an insert. I put that insert in for those that want to use it. If you don't, you can throw it away. You can do whatever you'd like with it. It's there if you want it. The poem begins with a challenge. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. That line matters now more than ever. You're graduating into a world that moves fast, reacts quickly, and often rewards outrage more than wisdom. There'll be moments when people around you panic, complain, criticize, or give up. In those moments, your greatest strength may simply be staying calm, steady, and grounded. Character is not revealed when life is easy. Character is revealed when life gets difficult, and difficulty will come. Some of you will experience failure for the first time after tonight. You may not get accepted to the school that you wanted. You may lose a job, lose confidence, lose direction, or lose something important to you. Kipling writes, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, that is wisdom. Success can make us arrogant. Failure can make us quit. But neither one defines you forever. A bad semester is not your identity. A championship trophy is not your identity. Your popularity, your GPA, your social media followers, your college acceptance letter, none of those things fully define your worth. What matters most is who you become. The people who make the greatest impact in life are rarely the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep moving forward when things get hard. Another powerful line from the poem says, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone. In other words, keep going. There'll be days when motivation disappears, days when you're tired, discouraged, heartbroken, confused. But maturity is learning that discipline must carry you when emotions cannot. Keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep believing there is still purpose ahead of you. Graduates, one of the greatest temptations in life is comparison. You'll look around and wonder if someone else is further ahead, someone else richer, smarter, happier, more successful. But life is not a race against the person sitting next to you tonight. Some people find their purpose at 18, others at 40. Some succeed quickly, others slowly. Some paths are straight, others are winding. Do not waste your life measuring your timeline against someone else's. Run your race. And as you do, remember another truth from Kipling's poem. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, never become so successful that you forget how to be kind. The world desperately needs intelligent people, but even more than that, it needs good people. People who are honest, people who serve, people who lift others instead of tearing them down. Your education matters, your talents matter, but your integrity matters more. Years from now, people may forget your accomplishments, but they'll remember how you treated them. And finally, the poem ends with these famous words: "Yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son." Tonight, I would say it this way: if you can stay humble in success, resilient in failure, courageous in uncertainty, and compassionate towards others, then you'll not just make a living, you'll make a life, a meaningful life. Graduates, the future is not something that simply happens to you. It is something that you help create through your choices, your attitude, your work ethic, and your character. The world you're entering needs builders, leaders, peacemakers, problem solvers, people willing to work hard and stand for something good. And I believe many of those people are sitting right here tonight. So dream boldly, work faithfully, serve generously, and when life becomes difficult, as it sometimes will, remember the wisdom of Kipling's poem. Stay steady, stay hopeful, keep moving forward. Congratulations, class of 2026. Your story is just beginning. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take just a minute and get set up to hand out diplomas. So as we worked on this yesterday, if I can have my front row, go ahead and stand up and come on over here, and we'll move around a little bit and we'll get going.
Jackson the Ginger Harper. The Rocktopus Queen, Kara R. Cook. Sydney, is it finally nap time? Bennett. Eliana Ray Sparkles Anderson. Maya Draper. It's the birthday girl, Carly Ray Jenkins. Olivia Christine Burris. Artem Sergeyevich Pahomov. Leah Price. Aiden Reyes. Eden Lady Kippington Crane. Caleb Malore Banjo Boy. Catherine Grace Wiseman. Grant Thomas the Tank Engine Cornaby. James Edward Clayson. Jethro Day. Quinn Cabina. Jaron Heiner. Derek Patton. Grace Phelps. Zoe Grimes. Brennan Brundon Jones. Connor the Elefante Young, sorry. Rylan Resilient Scott. Lorelei Eve Hike. Aaron Powell. Colby Thompson. Jacqueline Valadez. Julissa Vasquez. Alexis Grace Moore. Lexis Durand. Saya Pinkie Pie Jakeman. Gracelyn Cloward. Clara Filiosa Lehman. Eliza Diane Woods. Tia Jordan Jenkins. Hesiteri Razak. Brody Gunnar Dixon. Andrew the Gambler Dusbabek. Chef Brooklyn Elizabeth Henstra. Atlas Robbins. Nika Lou Van Wagener. Alondra Solis Armenta. May Dial. Henry the Big Goodman. Zarin was here, Brown. Matthias Schoolbus Jungheim. Matthew Cordner. Bradley Fogg. Guadalupe Gallegos Espinosa. Sir William Albert Beckland. Hiram Ray Chatwin. Gavin Solon. Kobe Cheese Jones. Isaac Terry. Corvin Base Juber. Okay, ready? Roman Quadzilla, Mr. 470, Lecky. Alexander Rosario. Narek Miranda Gutierrez. Boston Thewison. Elijah Spence Iraheta. Connor J. Cornejo. Isaiah Castaneda. Riker Nolan Bowling.
Now's the most important part. Remember how we talked about no more homework? We got one more thing. Okay. Hey, this is easy. Reach up. You guys have a tassel. It should be on the right. Let's adjust those tassels from the right over to the left. Awesome. To our Board of Trustees at Merritt Preparatory Academy, to the Charter School Board, Amy, to our faculty, to our parents, families, and friends, I present to you the Merritt graduating class of 2026. Okay, if you guys want to grab your caps, we're just about done. Go ahead and grab your caps and then have a seat. And faculty and staff, if you want to join us out in the lobby, the graduates are going to do a procession out and give some attention to you guys out there. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please arise? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Please be safe and enjoy this time with your families. Thank you.